So I just want to acknowledge that, Bitcoin at 67, 66,000, whatever it is today is difficult. And I've been having a lot of conversations with you guys that are booking one-to-one calls. By the way, if that's something you're interested in to kind of help you get unstuck or to get you some more clarity, the link is in the video description below for that. So I'm having lots of conversations sort of about this market. And I think my sense is that most people are feeling over allocated. I would say even my, 1 million to 15 million net worthers are feeling a little bit over allocated to Bitcoin right now. So I wanted to make a video, just as kind of like an encouragement or like a reframe of, some things that, my wife and I are even sort of looking at as we're, kind of enduring this downturn, I guess, bear market, I guess you'd want to call it. So by the way, I'm class of 2013, so I've been through at least 4 bear markets, including one that dipped all the way 85%. So I'm no stranger to this, but I think it's a good time to revisit sort of 3 things right now. And by the way, if we're just meeting, I'm Brad. I'm on a mission to empower millennials and Gen X to incorporate Bitcoin more deeply into their personal finances so they can reach financial independence in 10 years or less. So the first thing I always sort of default to is that if you're feeling over allocated into Bitcoin, you want to make sure that you've got what Mark Moss calls your 4 levels of liquidity sort of in place. So level 1 would be, your cash on hand. It doesn't have to be cash, but, liquidity for what Dave Ramsey would call an emergency fund, your 6 months to a year's worth of liquidity in cash or cash equivalents. Number 2 of 4 would be your cash adjacent assets. So this could be money markets, it could be stretch, it could be bonds, things that you would be able to liquidate, in 24 hours to get access to cash. Number 3 would be liquidity that you could access in like days or weeks. So this could be a home equity line of credit. It could be your Bitcoin. I think that's another thing that's important to remember about this cycle that we're in, is that we all tend to think of never sell your Bitcoin, never sell your Bitcoin. And certainly that's the ideal situation. But, I've talked to a few clients over the course of the past weeks that are like, they have a pretty good stack of Bitcoin, but they're not really thinking about it in terms of liquidity if they need something, so it's good to be reminded of that. And then level 4 would be your least liquid assets. So this could be, real estate, land, maybe life insurance. It's much harder to liquidate those things. So I think it's good to kind of just revisit your 4 levels of liquidity. And again, remember, Bitcoin is money. It is liquidity. It's a 24/7, market. And if you need access to liquidity, you can do that. I'd say that, most of you guys in the audience, especially the ones that I've had the privilege of interacting with one-on-one, I'm seeing you guys are crushing it in Bitcoin. I've had, most of my clients are anywhere between 0.1 Bitcoin, and one gentleman I talked to has 60 Bitcoin, which is just amazing. So I think what we're into as part of these bear markets is, this kind of idea of future pacing. So in the future, if you've got 0.1 Bitcoin or 0.21 or half a Bitcoin or 1 or whatever, you're crushing it. And so the difficulty is managing like, okay, well, what do I do between now and then? So I think that's a really good, it's a really good practice to develop these things. So number 2, I think, is going back and buttressing your conviction. There's a lot of FUD in the markets right now. There's a lot of quantum stuff. There's a lot of, and of course, the Bitcoin haters come out of the woodwork and, declare Bitcoin is dead for the 487th time. I think that actually might be pretty close. Let me know in the comments if you guys know how many times Bitcoin has actually been pronounced dead. So it's a good time to buttress your conviction. Ask yourself, okay, how much conviction am I borrowing from, my favorite influencers, or from Michael Saylor, or from me even, because you can only go so far in sort of, pushing back on these anxieties to the limit of whatever your conviction is. So I think this is a good time to go reread the white paper. And then once you've read it, read it again. Seyfedin Ammous's Bitcoin Standard is also a fantastic resource. Lynn Alden's Broken Money. One that was kind of surprising to me was Alex Gladstein's Check Your Financial Privilege. In the second chapter, he goes through a very detailed but yet succinct history of cryptography and all the precursors to Bitcoin that didn't work. So that's a really good one. And then the third thing is, I think, just kind of revisiting your overall mindset and your overall posture. Like I talk a lot about, most of you guys that are interacting with me, watching my videos, showing up to my live streams on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, are in the capital growth phase of your investment journey. So you're building your nest egg. You haven't really crossed over into financial independence yet. So maybe you have a number in mind. It's 500,000, maybe it's $1 million. You're trying to get to that number, but you haven't quite crossed the Rubicon yet. So I think it's a good time to take this as an opportunity to go back and revisit some of the mindset stuff. And for that, I love this book, Thomas Stanley's The Millionaire Next Door. This is a really, really great resource. And I'm going to read a couple of things in here. So if you could just bear with me for a second. He talks about, in the book, I think this is one of the main points in the book, is the 7 factors of who becomes wealthy. So who becomes wealthy? Usually the wealthy individual is a businessman who has lived in the same town for all his adult life. This person owns a small factory, a chain of stores, or a service company. He is married once and remains married. He lives next door to people with a fraction of his wealth. He is a compulsive saver, an investor, and he has made his money on his own. 80% of Americans millionaires are first generation rich. Okay, so if you're first generation rich, you should pat yourself on the back because nobody else is going to, trust me. Affluent people typically follow a lifestyle conducive to accumulating money. In the course of our investigations, we discovered 7 common denominators among those who successfully build wealth. Number 1, they live well below their means. One of the things that I'm seeing in these interactions that I'm having, one-to-one interactions, is even people that have accumulated a pretty good amount of net worth can use some work going back to some of the basics. So I have a budgeting course that's free. I used to charge $250 for it, but it's basically how to build a bulletproof budget. So it goes through, financial organization, cash flow planning, and expense tracking, and then optimizing for whatever the next step is. So number 1, they live well below their means. Number 2, they allocate their time, energy, and money efficiently in ways conducive to building wealth. Number 3, they believe that financial independence is more important than displaying social status. So if you are, in this category and you're like, hey, man, Bitcoin's down right now. All of our enemies are sort of gloating over us right now. But you know what? I'm following the basics. I'm believing that, financial independence is much more important than showing off, my status. Number 4, their parents did not provide economic outpatient care, which I think is something that in my 17 years of being a financial coach, I've seen a lot of that. And as a result, their adult children, number 5, are economically self-sufficient. Number 6, they are proficient in targeting market opportunities. And number 7, they chose the right occupation. So these are all just really good reminders for us as we're kind of working through this bear market. Perhaps perhaps you need to go through and reallocate some of your assets. Maybe you need to, God forbid, sell some of your Bitcoin and diversify into some other things. So if these are the kinds of things that you're looking for some clarity on, you're like, okay, I'm not sure where I am. I'm not sure what I need to do next. This is a great time to just go ahead and book one of my 30-minute calls. My calls are very reasonable. And that's usually what we wind up talking about is, okay, this is my context. This is where I am. And this is what I'm trying to do. I'm not really sure what to do next. Also, if you're not subscribed to my micro newsletter, there's a link in the description below for that. It's basically aimed at millennials and Gen X who are trying to incorporate the Bitcoin more deeply into their personal finances so they can reach financial independence. And it's basically just 3 sentences, all actionable, no fluff. All right, that's it for today. See you tomorrow.